Good day, level cast learners. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through time, delving into an event that irrevocably reshaped global history, the discovery of America. This pivotal moment, often romanticized and simultaneously scrutinized, is far more complex than a simple tale of exploration. It represents a confluence of ambition, technological prowess, and a profound misunderstanding that would forever alter the destinies of continents and cultures. We'll explore the motivations that propelled European powers across uncharted waters, the groundbreaking innovations that made such voyages possible, and the prevailing worldview that informed their interpretations of the lands and peoples they encountered. This narrative isn't merely about a single voyage. It's about the dawn of an interconnected world, albeit one forged through a contentious and often tragic process. Understanding this period requires us to look beyond simplistic narratives and grapple with the multifaceted perspectives that contribute to its enduring legacy. We will examine the European desire for new trade routes to the east, the allure of riches, and the fervent religious zeal that underpinned much of the era's exploratory spirit. Furthermore, we will touch upon the limitations of geographical knowledge at the time and the daring leap of faith required to challenge conventional wisdom about the size and shape of the world. This historical episode serves as a powerful reminder of how human curiosity, coupled with audacious risk-taking, can lead to both unparalleled achievements and unforeseen consequences, ultimately laying the groundwork for the modern global landscape we inhabit today. The backdrop to Columbus's audacious voyage was a Europe brimming with mercantile ambition and a growing thirst for exotic goods from the east. The Ottoman Empire's control over traditional land routes to Asia, particularly after the fall of Constantinople in 1453, made spices, silks, and other valuable commodities prohibitively expensive and difficult to acquire. This economic bottleneck spurred maritime nations like Portugal and Spain to seek alternative sea routes. Portugal, under the visionary leadership of Prince Henry the Navigator, had already made significant strides in exploring the African coast, gradually pushing southwards in an attempt to round the continent and reach India. Their innovations in shipbuilding, particularly the development of the caravel, a fast, maneuverable ship capable of sailing against the wind, and advancements in navigation, such as the astrolabe and improved cartography, were instrumental in extending their reach. Spain, observing Portugal's successes, felt a pressing need to compete for these lucrative trade opportunities. Enter Christopher Columbus, a Genoese mariner with an unshakable belief that a westward route across the Atlantic would offer a more direct path to the Indies. His calculations, however, were fundamentally flawed. He drastically underestimated the Earth's circumference and was unaware of the vast continents lying between Europe and Asia. Despite repeated rejections from various European monarchs, Columbus finally secured funding from the Catholic monarchs of Spain, Ferdinand and Isabella, who, having recently completed the Reconquista, were eager to expand their influence and spread Christianity. Their agreement, the Capitulations of Santa Fe, granted Columbus significant titles and a share of any riches found, underscoring the high stakes involved in this speculative venture. This period was characterized by a potent blend of scientific curiosity, economic imperative, and religious fervor, creating a fertile ground for unprecedented exploration. The convergence of these factors set the stage for a journey that would inadvertently stumble upon a new world, utterly transforming the course of human history. On August 3, 1492, Christopher Columbus, commanding the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria set sail from Palos de la Frontera, Spain. The voyage was arduous, fraught with uncertainty, and marked by growing anxiety among the crew as weeks turned into months without sight of land. Provisions dwindled, and the constant westward journey tested the limits of their endurance and faith. Columbus, a master of navigation and persuasion, had to continually reassure his increasingly mutinous crew, often resorting to fabricating distances traveled to maintain morale. He meticulously recorded observations, noting changes in wind patterns, bird sightings, and the appearance of floating vegetation, all indicators that land might be near. The tension aboard the ships reached a fever pitch by early October. Then, in the pre-dawn hours of October 12, 1492, a lookout on the Pinta, Rodrigo de Triana, famously spotted land. The cry of "Tierra" Tierra, echoed across the waves, a sound that must have been met with an overwhelming mix of relief, elation, and profound awe. They had arrived at an island in the Bahamas, which Columbus named San Salvador, believing he had reached the East Indies. Upon landing, Columbus and his men encountered the indigenous Taino people, whom he immediately, and mistakenly, referred to as Indians. His initial interactions were characterized by a mixture of curiosity and a distinctly European perception of superiority. He observed their gentle nature and their rudimentary tools, quickly concluding that they would make ideal subjects for conversion to Christianity and, more ominously, for labor. This moment, the first sustained contact between Europeans and the inhabitants of the Americas, marked the true climax of the discovery. It was a moment of profound revelation for the Europeans, opening up an entirely new geographical and cultural sphere, but simultaneously initiating a period of immense upheaval and suffering for the indigenous populations whose existence had been utterly unknown to the Old World. Columbus's initial voyage, and the subsequent three he undertook, fundamentally altered the course of human history, ushering in the Age of Exploration, and initiating centuries of European colonization. While Columbus himself died believing he had found a new route to Asia, his expeditions irrevocably revealed the existence of two vast, previously unknown continents to the European world. This discovery, though celebrated in European narratives, had catastrophic consequences for the indigenous populations of the Americas. The arrival of Europeans brought not only conquest and exploitation but also devastating diseases like smallpox, to which native peoples had no immunity. Millions perished, and entire civilizations were irrevocably disrupted or destroyed. The Columbian Exchange, named after Columbus, began a vast, unprecedented transfer of plants, animals, culture, human populations, technology, and ideas between the Americas, West Africa, and the Old World. While it introduced new crops to Europe, enriching diets and spurring population growth, it also led to the transatlantic slave trade, forcibly relocating millions of Africans to the Americas. The discovery sparked a relentless scramble among European powers for territorial claims, resources, and influence in the New World, leading to centuries of geopolitical conflict and the establishment of vast colonial empires. It reshaped global trade routes, shifted economic power, and laid the foundations for the modern globalized world. The legacy of Columbus remains deeply controversial, viewed by some as a heroic explorer and by others as a symbol of brutal conquest and cultural annihilation. Regardless of one's perspective, there is no denying the profound and enduring impact of his voyages. They represent a watershed moment, a point of no return that forever interconnected disparate parts of the globe, setting in motion processes that continue to influence societies and cultures worldwide to this very day.
That was an incredibly detailed account.
Yes, the narration was quite thorough.
The motivations for exploration were complex.
Definitely, a blend of economics and ambition.
And the technology was impressive for its time.
Caravels truly revolutionized sea travel.
Columbus's miscalculations were significant.
Yet, they led to an unintended discovery.
The crew's anxiety must have been immense.
Imagine weeks without seeing land.
The moment of tierra must have been electrifying.
Pure relief and exhilaration, I imagine.
The initial interactions were so crucial.
And, unfortunately, often misunderstood.
The long-term impact was truly global.
The Columbian Exchange changed everything.
A complex legacy, indeed.
Both positive and profoundly negative.
It reshaped the entire world.
A pivotal moment in history.
This was a great lesson.
I agree. Keep learning, Levelcasters.
Until next time, Levelcasters, keep exploring, keep learning.